end of the game, we witness the prototype taking out Catnap despite being his biggest supporter. This twist surprises everyone because it seemed like Catnap was being used like a puppet by the prototype. So why would he kill Catnap? Especially considering Catnap survived after being shocked by the grabber and seemed capable of living on. Before we dive into any theories, let's briefly introduce Catnap and his connection to the prototype. It all started with an orphan named Theodore Grable, who, like many others, was selected for experiments in a nursery aimed at turning them into living dolls. Through recordings in Chapter 3, we learn the scientists conducting these experiments were not just cruel, but outright sadistic, seemingly enjoying the pain inflicted on the children for more than just scientific discovery. Under the prototype's influence, Theodore, the impressionable child, starts hacking the security system. His ultimate goal is to open the security door under the factory and release the prototype from the laboratories deep within Poppy Playtime factory. Using the grabber, Theodore successfully opens the security door. However, the device malfunctions and electrocutes him, leaving him on the brink of life and death. Seeing Theodore's imminent death, the prototype decides to sacrifice his newly regained freedom. He brings Theodore to the scientists, hoping they can save him, even though it means revealing his location. Thanks to the prototype's self-sacrifice, Theodore is saved, but the prototype loses his freedom. Despite all security systems being disabled and his ability to escape easily, he is once again confined to the laboratory under even stricter surveillance. The scientists, working with what they have, decide to operate on Theodore. They transform him into a large, cat-like mascot known as Catnap for the Big Friends Project. Initially, Theodore, now Catnap, is compliant and fulfills all the organization's demands. However, with limited contact with the prototype, he gradually comes under his influence, changing his stance towards the organization. He starts to desire escape and to rebel against them, seeking the freedom the organization refuses to provide. The organization's cruelty and disdainful attitude towards the children become evident as they don't even regard them as human, but merely as subjects for experimentation. One of the scientists says,
"Okay, this is Catnap, experiment number 1188. What's his real name again? Okay. Hey, Theo. How you doing, bud? Normally I'd have Dr. Sawyer do this, but he's, out, let's say. So you got me until they find his replacement. First off, congrats. This is officially your 4th year in your new body, and you've made some real progress, pal. I was told that when you and the other smiling critters, you know, Dog Day, Picky Piggy, yada yada yada, were added into play care, that you weren't really getting along too well with the kids like everybody else was. But look at you now. The kids love you, and that bred smoke. I mean, that's fantastic, isn't it? Is his, voice thingy still broken?
Prototype will save us!
Theo, nobody's gonna save you. This prison is where you belong. We'll let you out here and there to go see the kids in play care, but your home is here. And as for the prototype, his home is in the labs. This is your life now. Get used to it.
As for the prototype, its home is in the laboratory. This is your life now. Get used to it. This realization leads Theodore to start seeing himself as a monster, treated as an enslaved being. In such circumstances, he does what he believes a monster would do best, helps the prototype to rebel against the evil organization. After this, horrific events known as the Joy Hour occur, during which they destroy anyone they come across, including kind-hearted people who took care of the children and the evil scientists. In the end, Catnap's loyalty to the prototype takes a more sinister turn. He becomes obsessed with the prototype, viewing it as a divine being that freed them from their cruel oppressors. His madness escalates to the point where he destroys any dolls and toys, mainly children, who do not meet his twisted standards of worship. This brings us to the present, where Catnap eliminates anyone he perceives as a threat. So, According to this, the prototype should be an evil puppet master controlling all these misdeeds, right? Or did he want this himself? It's possible Prototype took pity on him and ended his life as an act of mercy, freeing him from pain and a miserable existence. This suggests Prototype killed Catnap with the best intentions because he cared for him and couldn't bear his suffering. However, a more sinister theory exists. It claims that Prototype is absolute evil, only caring for itself. Having been exposed to much evil, it supposedly has no heart left. Anyone obstructing its goals is viewed as a hurdle to be eliminated. This logic might extend even to its weak followers deemed expendable. Thus, Catnap's failure to defeat the main hero in battle and his grave injuries could imply Prototype sees no value in weakness, possibly leading to Catnap's death despite his loyalty and adherence to Prototype's commands. Another theory suggests Prototype collects parts from large toys to enhance its own body. Evidence supporting this includes instances where it was seen taking the corpse of Mommy Longlegs after her death and also killing Catnap, then taking his body. Given Prototype's ability to add or replace body parts, this theory might explain why Catnap's shrine to Prototype features a model made from various toys and even a human skeleton. The varying tones in its voice recording, as though comprised of voice boxes from different toys, could indicate it assembles various body parts to improve itself. Although this theory is plausible, it contradicts the notion that Prototype is purely evil and despises weakness. After all, it sacrificed its freedom to save Theodore, a human child. Prototype also orchestrated a campaign to overthrow cruel oppressors, freeing tormented toys and dolls. These beings weren't controlled, but were subjected to physical torment, as recorded, suggesting Prototype might not be as malevolent as presumed. Contrary to arguments painting it as the main instigator of all evil, pain, and suffering at the factory, it's plausible Prototype deeply cared for the toys, dolls, orphans, and some adults uninvolved in experiments and cruelty. In a recording of its torture, Prototype is heard calmly questioning a scientist about the reason for the torment.
Stick us. Feed us. Prepare flesh. Do you feel it?
The scientist's enjoyment and excitement reveal their sadistic and malicious nature. In Experiment Log 24459, concerning Experiment 1006, Prototype remains defiant and silent, yet each session uncovers new information. In one exchange, a scientist inquires if Prototype feels anything during the pain infliction, acknowledging daily discoveries about Prototype bring them joy. Ultimately, Prototype appears more logical and rational, seeking justice for suffering people and toys. Seeing Catnap descend into madness, resorting to murder and torture might have shifted its perspective. Prototype never intended to punish toys that disobeyed its commands, let alone kill them. However, Catnap lost sight of his original goal, becoming a psychopath. Perhaps Prototype killed Catnap out of compassion and justice, recognizing its role in Catnap's transformation into a malicious entity. In the end, it was Prototype who saved Catnap, allowing him to undertake such radical actions. Prototype cared for Theodore and was saddened to see him become the very entity Prototype fought against. Perhaps by killing Theodore, Prototype essentially freed him from the pain and trauma associated with his transformation into a monster. Despite these actions, Prototype might not be as evil as we're led to believe. It had opportunities to attack the main hero when retrieving the bodies of Mommy Longlegs and Catnap, but chose not to act. If we consider Theodore's journey from start to finish, his death is symbolic. Prototype saved Theodore from an electric shock caused by the grabber. However, when Theodore again sustained a serious injury from the grabber, Prototype decided to end his life. This indicates that Prototype regretted saving Theodore, who turned into a bloodthirsty murderer, killing indiscriminately in his name. He did not approve of the killing, but took responsibility for the situation. He ended the life he once saved, as Theodore had become something much darker and more evil. The irony lies in the fact that he deprived Theodore of life in the same way he had once saved him.